amounts. According to the Commissioner, the state government has provided a clear list of approved fees for new intakes in public primary schools and secondary schools, and these fees cover various charges including PTA levies and examination costs. Akindolere emphasized that no school should collect money for textbooks or uniforms, but should instead provide parents with recommended lists. The Commissioner reiterated that any school head found violating these guidelines would face consequences, urging parents to report any illegal fee collection. As part of efforts to improve sanitation and waste management in Ondo State, Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has approved the constitution of the State Waste Management Board. There are Mrs. Yinka Labi, who will serve as full-time chairman, Festus Aregbesola, a part-time member, and Dr. Tob Loko, who will serve as part-time member. Others are Aro Bernard, a part-time member, while the General Manager of the Waste Management Authority will serve as secretary. The governor urged the new appointees to map out strategies that will revolutionize the management of waste in the state. In the meantime, Ondo State government has commenced a special ministerial press briefing aimed to foster transparency and accountability between the government and the people. Commissioner for Education and Reorientation Wale Akinlosoto said the Lucky Aiyedatiwa administration is one that prioritizes engagement with people to advance development. Osrc Said Aribistola reports that commissioners of Ministries of Environment, Agriculture and Forestry, Education, as well as Special Advisor on Infrastructure, reeled off the Lucky Aiyedatiwa scorecard in the sectors.
For the first time in a long while, appointees of Ondo State government converged at the press center of the Nigeria Union of Journalists for the commencement of a special ministerial press briefing.
This is a bit unique. The last time we have something like this was during the tenure of Dr. Chukwuemeka. And for the past few years, cabinet members has always been avoiding journalists.
The briefing, organized by the Ondo State government, is attended by cabinet members and appointees of Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa. Commissioner for Information and Orientation Wale Akinlosoto said the initiative reflects Governor Aiyedatiwa's commitment to transparency and accountability. Akinlosoto assured that the government remains dedicated to clear communication with the public and media.
And you know that it's very important to have this kind of briefings continuously at a regular interval, because the government of Ondo State, led by Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, and we owe it to the people to know the activities and the plans of the government.
The session featured addresses from 4 heads of ministries in the cabinet. Commissioner for Education Laolu Akindolere discussed the state's ongoing efforts to recruit new teachers and enhance educational standards across Ondo State, entrepreneurship in schools, among others.
A student from Ondo State came first in inter-street spark competition with cash prize of 7.5 million naira and scholarship award up to PhD level. Our students came first and third in physics at Nigerian Mathematics and Science Olympiad competition and represent the country and the international event in Iran. The government has recently appointed 3 tutors. This is an encouragement for our teachers that you can always get to the top. The sum of 335 million has been released for the payment of bursary scholarship and financial assistance to 11,220 students of the state already in tertiary institutions across the country.
In his address, Commissioner for Agriculture and Forestry Olayato Aribo outlined government interventions aimed at achieving food security. Aribo detailed various agricultural programs designed to boost local production and ensure a stable food supply for the state.
We have also trained about 4,563 farmers, youth and women. Presently, we have also encouraged all these farmers to bring their products to the ministry. We have a Thursday market where these farmers that we have trained, empowered, what they have produced also in the ministry to sell it directly to the consumer. I think we have that every Thursday. In the ministry, we also raise and sell improved seedlings of various foods.
Addressing environmental concerns, Commissioner for Environment Oyeniyi Oseni outlined new strategies for effective waste management disposal and environmental preservation, emphasizing the government's dedication to a cleaner Ondo state.
We are in advanced discussion with some company that I would not like to reveal their name now, for them to take over our communal fee to convert our waste into energy generation, in which that discussion is advancing very soon. The state will be signing and then for them to come and take over the waste only we have at the landfill and be using it to converting it to power. And we agree with me that the crisis of power in this part of the world is enormous, which we think that will be able to resolve our power generation crisis by the time this project starts.
Special Advisor on Infrastructure, Lands and Housing, Joseph Babalola, elaborated on road construction projects, highlighting the significant infrastructure upgrades planned to improve connectivity and living conditions within the state.
Exactly 402 kilometers of road. 400 kilometers of road, but actually awarded under that discussion. And then till today, with the one that regular that was finished, we got 265 kilometers across the state.
The briefing concluded with an interactive session where commissioners answered questions from journalists. Topics covered included specific timelines for projects, budget allocations, and the anticipated impact of various government interventions on the daily lives of Ondo residents. The media dialogue, according to the state government, will be a continuous one to further cement the relationship between government and the people. Sahida Rebisala, Osrc News.
To politics now. Women in Ondo State say they are in tune with leadership style of Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa and desire its extension beyond 2024. The visit of Odatiwa women initiatives to Eseodo and Odugo local government areas of the state witnessed large turnout of women who promised to mobilize voters for election. Kunle Ariyo has details.
As part of efforts to ensure that all the 3 central districts across the state are abreast of the activities of the present administration, Odatiwa Women Initiatives, under the leadership of Special Advisor to the Governor on Women Affairs, Sheung Wasamaye, began a tour to all the nooks and crannies of the state. Igbekebo, the headquarters of SL, the local government area, was agog as political leaders and women turned out in large number to welcome the entourage. Chairman Transition Committee of SL, the local government, Bayo Anifowoshe, reminded the women of Governor Aiyedatiwa's promises to making his administration an inclusive one.
We in Eseodo, we are solidly behind Lucky Aiyedatiwa, not going back. In fact, every woman, every houses in Eseodo local government are for Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, nobody again. And we have taken that determination because he is the only one that knows where the shoe pinches. He is the only one who understands the system of governance in Nigeria, in Ondo State. So we have determined to make sure he wins again.
The situation was not different in Ore, headquarters of Odigbo local government area, as the women pledged their loyalty to the governor.
Come out during the election, all persons with disability in this local government and across the 18 local governments, we come out and cast their vote.
We are trying to sensitize them to ensure that they know, they have the knowledge of good things that His Excellency Orimisan Lucky Aiyedatiwa is doing in Ondo State. And I'm sure with all the good work he's doing, with the way he's going to bring unity into the party and cohesion into the party, I'm sure it's going to be a walkover.
Special advisor to Governor Aiyedatiwa on Women Affairs, Shehu Wasamaye, who commended the response of the women in all the places visited, wants them to educate people around them on the governance of the present administration.
We have been going around different local governments to interact and engage with our women at the grassroots.
The team was earlier at the palace of Omoja of Odigbo, Oba Rufus Akinrimade, who lauded Governor Aiyedatiwa's administration. He encouraged the women to continue to work for peace and growth of the state. Kunle Ariyo, Osrc News.
Meanwhile, ahead of the November governorship election in Ondo State, a disability inclusion-focused organization that promotes the rights and recognition for individuals with disabilities, TAF Africa, has urged persons with disabilities to come out and exercise their franchise. The organization's program director, Adeolu Kilanko, at an engagement with representatives of disability clusters, wants them to remain undeterred by previous voting experiences. Osrc Said Aribisala reports that the program is tagged able to vote.
Available data shows that there are over 30 million persons with disabilities in Nigeria and with over 60% of voting age. To drive more participation in the process, the Able to Vote voter education campaign for community of persons with disabilities in Ondo State was organized by TAF Africa, a non-governmental organization championing disability inclusion. The platform provided an avenue for the convergence of various clusters in the disability group to engage ahead of the upcoming governorship election in the state. TAF Africa's program director Adeolu Kilanko said the campaign is designed to address the electoral participation of persons with disability, which he says is often overlooked.
There is to sensitize persons with disability and other key stakeholders on provisions of relevant laws and legal frameworks in Nigeria that guarantees the participation, active participation of persons with disabilities in elections in Nigeria. As you are aware, the governorship election in Ondo State is coming up on the 16th of November. So we are here to sensitize the persons with disabilities on the conduct that they need to watch out for to enable them actively participate seamlessly in the forthcoming general election.
Kilanko noted that the goal of the campaign is to educate and inform the community about their voting rights, said it is also an avenue to extract their voting experiences and resources available to them during the election.
Multifaceted program requires a multifaceted approach. While we're talking with INEC to provide magnifying glasses, if we also don't have persons with albinism, go to the polling unit to come and report back that there were no magnifying glasses. How do we know that the glasses were not provided in the first instance? So we have to make sure that all hands are on deck to ensure that while we are working with INEC to do what is needful, persons with disabilities that we're also working with are also there to confirm that yes, we are seeing progresses, or there are still some gaps that we need to address going forward.
The discussions centered on the challenges faced by persons with disabilities during elections, as participants shared personal stories highlighting issues such as physical barriers at polling stations and the lack of accessible voting materials.
And I want to cast my vote. The last election, when the machine insists to let me cast my votes, it's very painful because I love voting.
The event also featured discussion on the legal framework designed to promote inclusion, as well as the gap between policy and practice, the shortage of assistive voting materials like braille ballots, and the need for more training for polling staff on how to assist voters with disabilities
that is far away to the nearest place, we just tell them to just stay one side and they will attend to them later, and which is not right.
A panel discussion featured representatives from INEC, Chairman, Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities in Ondo State, and Chairperson of the State Agency for Persons with Disabilities.
We can vote and we can be voted for, isn't it? Yes.
Using the Electoral Act as amended, and to see the inclusions of persons, so that the apathy that we have having now will be reducing.
Still will give me confidence to be talking to my people for them to come out on the day of election to vote for the candidate of their choice.
INEC's desk officer
during the election, these people are taken into consideration.
The organizers of the Able to Vote campaign stressed the importance of continued advocacy and dialogue between the community, electoral bodies and policymakers to address these issues and to ensure that the upcoming governorship election in Ondo State is inclusive and accessible for all. Sahid Aribisala, Osrc News.
Now, reactions have continued to trail the recent hike in petrol prices across the country, with Nigerians lamenting that the federal government is inflicting further hardship on the citizens. According to respondents, the cost of fuel in Nigeria had risen by 460% in 15 months, with calls to the federal government to save the country from further socio-economic challenges by immediately reversing the latest increase.
The federal government has led to harsh economic reality for many Nigerians. Even the joy that accompanied the rollout of PMS by Dangote Refinery has been cut short as NNPC stations have upwardly adjusted its price. In May 2023, fuel price skyrocketed from 185 naira per litre to 5. Since then, fuel prices have continued to rise steadily and now sells between 950 naira and 1,250 naira in some parts of the country, including Ondo State. As a result of the increase, some fuel stations in Akure are under lock, while the few selling the product sells exorbitant increases in the absence of any meaningful social security measures put in place demonstrates lack of empathy and understanding of the challenges faced by ordinary Nigerians.
I got fuel like 2 days ago and I got it 1,250 as against the normal 850. It is difficult to get fuel. The price is high. Some people are not selling. Most filling stations are not selling. So very few are the high price. At least it will be easy, but now you are getting something at a high price, but then with even a long queue. It is very difficult, to be honest.
ọ̀rọ̀ ipò yìí ti fẹ́ gba ẹ̀mí àwọn èèyàn torí a expect ìjọba Tinubu pé ó lè ṣèyàn bí eléyìí. Ó dẹ̀ sọ fún wa pé tóun bá ti yọ subsidy yẹn gbogbo kan máa wálẹ̀ everything máa wà òkè pẹ̀lú epo ni. Náà ojoojúmọ́ wọ́n á dẹ̀ máa tọ̀ wá. So last week báyìí wọ́n sọ pé epo fẹ́ wọ́n àwọn náà deny pé irọ́ ni kò sí kan tó jọ bẹ́ẹ̀. Now kó já epo yẹn wálẹ̀.
ojoojúmọ́ lè po wọ́n sí epo náà ló dẹ̀ ń jẹ́ kí ọrọ̀ ajé kó túbọ̀ dá sí abẹ̀wọ̀n kan bá wá àkànṣe sí ó ní wá lára kò rọrùn epo tá a rà ń sìn báyìí 1,100 lítà kan kò dẹ̀ lè gbé wa débì kan láti travel lọ láti bí sí Adó padà ó ti tán so 27,000 tó rọrùn.
However, a socio-cultural and political organization, Afenifere, Nigeria Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress, and some civil society organizations called on government to revisit these decisions, promote policies that will strengthen the Naira, and take decisive steps to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerians. Joy Pius, Osrc News.
However, show that teenagers are no longer exempted, as medical personnel have advised frequent medical checkup. Bidemi Akinrotoye x-rays the components and challenges associated with the disease.
High blood pressure, a condition often associated with affluence, is now a major area, cutting across all strata of society. Reports show that 2 in 3 people in Nigeria are now dealing with high blood pressure issue. A medical expert, Seyi Adewale, sheds light on the different categories of hypertension affecting humans.
We have primary hypertension and then we have secondary hypertension. In some instances, we had essential hypertension. Under the primary hypertension, identified. Perhaps this is a form of hypertension that seems to be hereditary in such a way that maybe the parents have a particular kidney disease or congenital heart disease, which the offspring may be invariably inherited. So if such a patient comes to the hospital and we are seeing the hypertension without any risk factors being identified, secondary hypertension is the one that is actually secondary to a particular factor, that is caused by a particular identifiable factor. It could be obesity, it could be hyperlipidemia, it could be a sedentary lifestyle, and it could even be due to drugs. Drug abuse could expose somebody to hypertension, in the sense that if somebody is abusing some particular drugs, this may lead to kidney problem, and from this, the patient may develop hypertension. The first thing we do is to understand the complications that may arise from hypertension. Hypertension can lead to anything we can think of. Talking about the central nervous system, the hypertension can lead to stroke. A patient can come down with stroke. And talking about the respiratory system, there could be cardiorespiratory insult, cardiorespiratory distress. There could be cardiac collapse. There could be cardiovascular collapse. There could be any problem with the heart. And going to the renal system, the kidneys, there could even be nephropathy, hypertensive nephropathy. And this will predispose to patient to myriad of complaint symptoms that may eventually lead to renal transplant and perhaps eventually lead to death.
Amidst the rise in cases of the health condition is the misbelief that only
ranging from a newborn baby to any age of life, as long as it's a woman being, anybody can be hypertensive. Recently, there was a case of a 16-year-old boy or girl being said to be hypertensive and died. We can call that one a primary hypertension, because such a child, though we sympathize with the family, I personally sympathize with the family, but such a child must have been having hypertension, perhaps due to renal, that is kidney issue, kidney pathology, or even cardiac pathology, that is heart pathology.
What can be done to aid prevention and management measures if diagnosed with hypertension?
Once hypertension is diagnosed, our best advice is that patients should go to the hospital. They should avoid the use of herbs. They should avoid the use of local stuffs in treating hypertension, and they should stop self-medication. We should approach the hospital, seek qualified doctors and the cardiologist, and will be prescribed with some drugs, investigations will be done, and we should be very strict with this.
Experts warn parents and guardians against negligence and self-medication for their children, advocating regular checkup as the first step to averting fatality in both children and adults. Abidemi News.
And that rounds off Sunshine Report. Many thanks for your time. Good afternoon.